Main thing is what you're hearing, eighth notes and quarter notes. So eighth, eighth, quarter, eighth, 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 quarter, eighth, 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 quarter. So in other words, it's in 3/4, but that's kind of a confusing thing to think about. It's better to think about just the groups that we were talking about. So in the first part, you have 2/8 and a quarter, then you have 4/8 and a quarter, 4/8 and a quarter, 4/8 and a quarter. That's the whole first line. So if you think about it in groups like that, it will probably be easier. So I can count 1 and 2 and 3 and and 3 and 1 and 2 and and 2 and So it's confusing to count 1 and 2 and 3 and. So you don't, it's easier to just remember how many beats it feels like. Just like on the previous one here is in scherzino is in 2/4, but you're still feeling 4 beats in a measure. The 1, 2, 3, 4, So the confusing thing about time signatures is sometimes if it says 2/4, you think, well, I should be feeling 2 beats, right? But it's not true. You can feel 2 beats. Sometimes you can feel 4 beats or even 8 beats. It really depends on the context, and that's confusing. I don't expect you to really get that yet, but you will sometime. And in other words, in the Etude mélodique, it says 3/4, but the way it's going to feel is like there's 6 beats in the measure. Because when a piece is predominantly one rhythm, like 8 notes, if it's almost the whole thing, this thing, almost all of it is 8 notes. So your brain naturally goes, oh, well, the 8th note is the beat, right? Even though it says 3/4, even though it says there's 3 quarter notes, it's going to feel like there's 6 eighth notes. So when I'm going bum, 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 that quarter note is going to feel like it's 2 beats because we're establishing 8 notes. Da, 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 da. So at the end of the line, there's a quarter rest. That's going to feel like 2 beats of rest. And then when you get to these half notes on all the other lines, that's going to feel like 4 beats because we're so used to hearing this as the beat, which is the 8th note. So listen to the clap on the recording. That's because it's going to be like this. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. When it's me and it's a weird time signature, like this just feels weird. It doesn't really, even though it says 3/4, it doesn't feel like 3/4, which happens sometimes. In those cases, I focus on the note type and just count. So if I'm feeling 8th notes, what we're doing right here is feeling 8th notes when we're going. In other words, I'm clapping here on the 8th note with 8 notes. So if I'm feeling the 8th note and I see a quarter note, I just count to 2. That's it. It's fail safe. If I see a quarter rest, I count to 2. If I see a half note, I count to 4. And that way you don't have to spend energy thinking about, oh, is it on the 3rd beat or am I on the and of the 1st beat or what? It doesn't matter. You just count how many beats it equals. Okay, hope that helps.